happens when life forces you to face a fight you never asked for? When the words, "you have breast cancer," threaten to silence your purpose? Do you crumble or do you conquer? Hi, and welcome to Good Talk with Tiffany Santana, where we have good talk with great people who help us live our best lives. My guest, Tamika L. Herbert, didn't just survive breast cancer, she conquered it. Through her journey, Tamika discovered that healing isn't just physical, it's also spiritual, emotional, and deeply transformational. She turned her pain into purpose and turned her survival into a platform. Tamika is the host of the Tamika L. Herbert Show, a speaker, an author, and a 12-year breast cancer conqueror. Her story reminds us that even in the fight of our lives, there's beauty, faith, and freedom to be found. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, and share this with someone who needs some inspiration or encouragement today. My sister friend, Tamika Herbert, welcome to Good Talk with Tiffany Santana. I'm so happy that you're here with me.
It's my honor to be here to serve you as well as your audience and your listeners.
I want to jump right in because you have such a powerful story and so much good to share with our audience. So I want you to tell me about the first time you heard the words, "you have breast cancer." What was going on in your mind? How did you process it? Give me some details about what was going on that day.
Yes. My response is a little abnormal because even my doctor said, "Did you hear what I just said?" When she came back into the room and confirmed I had breast cancer, literally my response was, "Okay, what's next? Let's get this party started." She looked. "Did you hear what I said?" "Yes, I have breast cancer. So what are we going to do?" That was my initial response. As I look back, I your audience doesn't judge, right? They judge. You people judge here? Maybe
They
they
don't
judge. Yeah.
judge.
Nobody judge. Okay. I was religious then, right? And we'll talk maybe a little bit later how I relocated from religion to relationship with Jesus Christ. But I was really big at that time into something called The Secret. It's a book. People may have heard Oprah Winfrey talk about it and other people. Whatever you think about, that's what you bring into your environment and atmosphere. I was really big on that. And at that time, death wasn't an option. It was cancer. For me at that time, it was just another word. So I was like, what's next? Let's get this party started. What are we going to do? And that was my initial response.
Wow. So before you even got your diagnosis, what was going on in your body that made you want to get it checked out, or was it just a routine checkup? What was going on with you?
Well, it's called a car accident.
Oh, wow.
I
Wow.
know. I was in a car accident at home recovering. Now, granted, I had just relocated here to the Pacific Northwest from the South, far away from family, far away from familiarity. But while I was at home recovering from that, I found a lump on my chest. It was more so like on my chest wall when I went back to the chiropractor and my masseuse, because I thought it might have been from the seatbelt, right? For where it was located. It's like, you need to get that checked out. So going through the process of finding a primary care provider, I'm not really concerned about it because you're young, you're healthy, you're active, all of those things. But we're still going to go ahead and go through this process. Lo and behold, we know that it was breast cancer. And I did. I found the lump on my own at 36
Wow.
years young.
Wow. And so young. Did anybody, when you went to the doctors initially, because as Black women, sometimes we have issues at the doctors with not being diagnosed with things or people dismissing our pain and things like that. When you went to the doctor, were they ready to look at breast cancer as an option, being that you were so young, or were they open and ready to diagnose you?
I can say by the grace of God, that was not my story that I have unfortunately heard many other women of color express.
Good.
I said, "Hey, this is what I found. This is what it is." And that provider listened to me and we went through the process. We went through the ultrasound and the mammogram, going through a mammogram, 36, 40. I wasn't, quote unquote, I didn't fit that box that we tend to put so many things in, right? But nonetheless, we found out it was actually breast cancer. And as I look back, I believe my disposition as well, right? Because I am one who at that time I wasn't as loving as I am now, but I'm very firm and adamant about things now, and I was back then. So I knew that this was not normal. And I already had the backing of those who were treating me from my car accident that this is not related to the car accident. This is abnormal. So that I definitely believe also aided me for them to continue to go through that process.
That's so good. I'm so glad to hear that. That's really encouraging. What were your treatment options? What did you go through as far as treatment is concerned? And what was that experience like for you?
Yes, I when I met my first oncologist, my thoughts was I wanted a female provider, right? Because she would better understand my body. That was my mindset. That was not the case. The female oncologist I first met with did not mesh with the essence of Tamika. And that in and of itself is a message for anyone diagnosed with breast cancer. Any males get breast cancer too, but any male that's being diagnosed with any type of cancer, or anybody diagnosed with something, right? It's okay for you to get a second opinion because what we may think we need and want may not be the best option for us. It's an option, but it may not be the best option. And so for me, having a female oncologist was not the best option for me. I did do a second opinion with the male oncologist. And again, I'm in the Pacific Northwest as a Southern girl. So there's a very big difference culturally. And the fact that the male doctor, he got my personality, he got my southernness, he got my ethnicity on a different level, and he was the one. And I'm getting to your question. At that time, I had a friend, Misty, who came from Florida up here to be with me my first surgeries. She had left when the doctor came in to go get something. He started all over again when she returned to the room. For me, we're talking about an older Caucasian white male. That said a lot to me. And so I trusted the things that he told me because he said the recommendations from this other oncologist was kind of going at it nice and easy, but I don't take you as a person who's like, let's gently ease into this. You see more of a let's go, let's get this done. I was like, okay, now I can look back. God knew what he was doing.
Absolutely. In retrospect, how important do you think that rapport with your oncologist is for healing?
I can go into so many tangents with this. With providers, period, right? If it's oncologists, but especially because that is a specialized treatment, that is so key. Because if you're not meshing with the person who's caring for your well being, that's added stress to your body, to your mind, to your emotions. You're already trying to think about, how am I going to do this monetarily? What do my relationships look like? And if you're going into this place frequently that nobody signed up and said, pick me, choose me, I want to go see an oncologist. No, let me in. Nobody's doing that. And if you have someone you're not meshing with, that the stories I've heard from people, and that goes, it's okay to get a second opinion, and it's okay to say, thank you for your time. This is just not the best option for me. Giving people permission to do that is very key. And I believe that's something that I'm doing right now, being the example. It's okay if you're not meshing to seek someone else.
That's really, really helpful because we definitely respect the expertise and the knowledge and the experience
One,
of practitioners and of doctors. But at the end of the day, we own our own bodies. We own these. Well, we have them on loan from God, but
yeah,
we're responsible for stewarding them. And we got to trust when we're not feeling a thing
right.
and make decisions that are best for us, for our whole bodies, for the way that we operate. I'm so glad that you talked about your personality and how
Mhm.
you approach things, because I think you have to weigh all of these things when you're trying to discover what your treatment programs are and your treatment options are.
Right.
So, to that point, what did you have to do in order to conquer your cancer? What was your
Right.
treatment? What kinds of things that you have to do spiritually with your mindset? Tell me first about your medical treatments.
Yes. So after talking to and selecting the male oncologist, he said, yes, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go at it. First, I did chemotherapy because my tumor was so close to my chest wall. They wanted to see how my body would respond as far as shrinking the tumor before I had to decide, do I want a lumpectomy? Do I want a single mastectomy? Do I want a double mastectomy? Do I just want to shrink the tumor and do radiation? There's so many options that are there. And so that's what I did. I did chemotherapy first. And on the first chemotherapy treatment, I could no longer feel my tumor. My
Wow.
doctor was like, my tumor was no longer there, but we still continued 6 rounds every 3 weeks. And there were times when my immune system was not up to par for me to receive treatment. So that prolonged the process. Uh, I did say I grew up in the South.
Mhm.
I was thinking about a double mastectomy. It kind of entered my mind. However, growing up in the Bible Belt, there's certain verbiage that you heard, right? Not saying anybody spoke the words I'm about to share, but there was a certain mindset and verbiage. And I was reserved and didn't want to do a double mastectomy with reconstructive surgery because that was for white people and for people in Hollywood. People with my melanin pigmentation, we don't do that.
Mhm.
And as I look back, I love my friend who was who is a Caucasian girl, she is a Caucasian girl, and she talked to me about that. And it was something that currently has been coming back to me is just, if you have my melanin pigmentation, it's okay for you to have that option to decide, do I want to have a double mastectomy? If you are a person who is a Christian woman, I believe that's something also to put out there because, is it vanity? Is it this? What is right for your body? And for me, I came to the decision that reconstructive surgery was right for Tamika, not what everybody else thought. And they said, thank you for your information. Thank you for your feedback. But I had to think about, how am I going to feel? And it's okay if you also won't just take them. And I am good being flat chested, because that is something that people are proudly displaying and demonstrating more and more today as well.
I love that. I I got so many questions and so many things I want to go over, but I first want to, because I'm a teacher at heart and a word nerd. I want to make sure that we're clear on terms so everybody understands. So mastectomy means the removal of the breast, right?
Correct.
And single is one breast, double is both. And then
Correct.
reconstruction, is it always implants or are there other forms of reconstruction?
No, there are other forms of reconstruction. You can, if you have a little extra tissue on your body, that could be taken from a place. It may be taken from your back, from your legs, for your stomach. And I'm not going to get into all the medical terms, but you can definitely reconstruct your breast in that way. Again, talking to a reconstructive surgeon if that's something you consider. But for me, it was a double mastectomy, the removal of the breast I was born with, and then me receiving implants to give me the fullness that, well, actually, I didn't have a lot of fullness then, but to give me to give
Bonus.
me right, to give me a little more fullness than I had before. And so, yes, there are other ways to go about having reconstructive surgery, but that was the decision and the route that I chose.
Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for sharing some of the psychological thought processes that you had to go through as far as your culture, as far as your faith, because I think these are real challenges that women face when they are in this situation. And
Right,
I know that we were talking before about womanhood and the ways that we process our own individual womanhood.
right.
Very often it's tied to the body parts that make us woman. And having to process, I'm not going to have these body parts. How, what does that continue to keep me a woman? And if we're really honest, I know that those are some of the things that you go through. Did you have similar questions when you were trying to make those decisions? Did you really have to get in touch with what you thought about womanhood for you?
Yes, I did. And at that time, Tiffany, like I said, I was religious. I was not into relationships. So I said all the churchanese and the good things and God, and I said all those things, but my heart was not fully sold out, right? But I did have to wrestle with what is going to work best for Tamika. What does Tamika want? Because even when it came to my treatment, I was less than a year moving from the South to the Pacific Northwest. All my family's back home in the South. So they like, you need to come back here where family is. But I just, even that was a decision as far as treatment, right? What works best for me as a person and as a woman. And I knew I was in the best place where I needed to be. And I believe as women, we can identify with our hair. I lost my hair going through chemo treatment, right? And this is not everybody's story, but I remember doing a post. I remember doing videos because I'm not my hair. It's just a part of me. I am
Mhm.
not my breast. Is that the India Ari song? Like I did a remix and it's like, I'm not my breast. I'm not my hair. All those things. And after I came to that, girl, you look good bald headed. You better put some big hoop earrings on and put your big shades on and rock it, Tamika. And that's what I did. So I exuded confidence from the inside out. The external didn't make me, because I feel like that's what our world unfortunately focuses on a lot, as opposed to internally. And internally, once I really sat with myself and I had the right community and people around me, to aid me as I'm navigating what does this womanhood look like? What does this process look like as I'm diagnosed with breast cancer? It was so beneficial.
That's excellent. That's a good segue into what I want to ask you next, because at some point on your journey, you have said that you were thankful for breast cancer. And I know that that will blow some people's minds. It will shock people. But what has breast cancer taught you about you, about God, about other people? What are some of the lessons that breast cancer has taught you, and why? Why did you say that you're thankful for breast cancer? Because I know people need to know that.
What has breast cancer taught me? Well, breast cancer has taught me that life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. If you don't, you
What,
need to
look,
watch Forrest Gump.
for older youngins, that's a Forrest Gump reference. I know we don't think we're older, but y'all go back and y'all Netflix Forrest Gump. You'll know what we're talking about. But anyway, I
It's the
digress. Go ahead.
necessity, right? Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. And in that
Yeah.
particular scene, Forrest is having a conversation with his mother, and I remember hearing Forrest said that mom got the cancer,
Uh-huh.
right? So she was sharing with him life lessons as she was transitioning from her diagnosis of whatever the cancer was. But breast cancer has taught me, this is a quote that I say, the life I live is not about me, but serving God's creation of people. Period.
Yeah.
It's not about me. And I am grateful for the breast cancer because it positioned me to have that disposition and to have that heart sentiment that is very true to the essence of who Tamika L. Herbert is today. I am grateful because it renewed, reestablished, and brought me back into reconciliation with my walk with Jesus Christ. Again, I was religious. I went to church. You're supposed to do that. But it renewed my faith. It moved me into relationship. So that I am so very thankful for. Because my mom, when I was 13, she died of cancer. It wasn't breast cancer, it was a different cancer.
Wow.
But that entailed a whole lot of how I was even navigating and processing or not navigating and processing a lot of things in my own life when it came to my cancer diagnosis. I can say that now. But I'm very grateful for it. And that's what it taught me, that life is not about me, but it's about serving God's creation and people. And it brought me back to the one who created me, the one who formed me in my mother's womb before, the one who created me anew so I can do the good things he preordained and destined for me so long ago. And for that, I am very grateful because I strive to emulate the lifestyle of Jesus. And what Jesus did on the cross, it wasn't about him. That hardship, that challenge that he experienced, it wasn't for him. So he showed me that every hardship and every challenge that I go through on this earth, just as he did, is ultimately not about you, Tamika, but it's about how do you serve other people, because that's what he did. He served. And so that's that's where I am.
Wow. That perspective is gold, because we all are going to go through things that rock us, that shake us to our core, that we didn't expect. Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. And knowing that you have this faith to hold on to, that things don't come your way to take you out, but they come your way to grow you and make you stronger and make you better for others, is just so reassuring. And we have the same coach, and very often he talks about how these hardships stretch us and change us and help to define and refine us. What do you feel like are the strengths in you that either emerged or evolved as a result of your breast cancer?
I'm thinking about Tamika that was in youth ministry back home in Florida, and my youth pastor. And I'm in contact with her right now, and she said, "You don't remember when I told you you had the gift of gab?" I was offended. How dare you? But that's what cancer has done. It has helped me utilize, and now I know I am a shofar. I am a trumpet blower. I am his special instrument to be able to share and to release the sound of his goodness through me. It has helped me to eradicate, not fully, but for the most part, I may have a little residue. Pride. I had like a gangrene infection of pride. It,
Wow.
I, it was it was oozing, but I didn't know it. But when surgery happened, when he did surgery, whoo, honey, let me tell you, pride. Oh my gosh. Yes, it helped me to utilize this gift of gab for the various things that I've gone through. It helped to really reveal the pride in the many areas that it was the infection was serious. And it also helped me to truly see people. It helped me to develop a skill set of selflessness because we are cocooned in it's all about me. It's about me first. We're born into it. It's all around us, but it has really aided to develop that skill set of selflessness.
I wonder too if, well, here's my question.
Mhm.
Because you talked about pride being like a gangrene infection, that's a heavy analogy. So, how did that show up in your life beforehand? And how has eliminating that pride or eradicating it for the most part, like
Mhm.
you said, how has that shifted things for you? What was pride looking like in your life before? And what does it look like now, minimizing that in your life?
Pride before, I'll give two examples, and this is again religious to me. Can you go to church because that's what you're supposed to do? And these are two examples that I mention in my book as well. But one of those was sitting in the dark for over 2 weeks with electricity off because I'm not going to let anybody know I couldn't pay my bill. And I'm definitely not about to ask anybody for help because everybody thinks I have it together. I have the degree, I have the job. For me, my story is not married, didn't have any kids. People look up to me, they come to me with questions. I'm not going to let anybody know those things because I do have it all together. Girl, you sitting in the dark with candles because you don't want anybody to know you need assistance.
Uh-huh.
Pride look like I'm independent. I got this. I don't need anybody. Lil Boosie was my theme song. I told y'all ain't always been saved. If you don't know what Lil Boosie is, Independence, Independent. That was me. And pride also looked like, oh man, I'm gonna say while I was going through cancer treatment, I want to talk about that instance when I started moving into relationship and I was tapped out. I was tapped out from the leave from the job. Income was not coming in. I was tapped out. And I know the Holy Spirit said, text everybody in your phone. Check this out. Put it on social media.
Wow. Wow.
You, you talking about fighting. And at that time, all I needed was $500. And it's out there. It's in my book. My ask was if 50 of my friends give $10, I'll have enough for rent. You talking about pride. That was me being placed on the on the table, on the operation table, right? And the Holy Spirit just prepping me. That was prep for pride being eradicated out of my body. Those two instances. Those are two instances I can give. There's Tiffany, there's so many that I can give, but those particular two they're so just, I vividly can see them and vividly can see myself in the midst of those transitions when people would have been ready and willing to help me. Yet my disposition, even when I was diagnosed, let's talk about that. When I was diagnosed, my initial thought process was, I found the lump on my own, so I'll take care of this on my own. I don't need
Wow.
nobody. Oh, don't worry about you're here in a new area and you don't really know anybody. But I found it on my own. I'm not going to tell anybody because it's Tamika and I have everything together. And I don't want no tears. I don't want to hear, oh, pity. Oh. I'm not going to do all that. And just it was my pride weighing me down. And again, I'm so very thankful for Misty and Candace that helped to give me a different perspective, which helped to reveal how deeply embedded pride was in me. That for people who know you, Tamika, that's not going to be their stance. And had it not been for Candace and Misty, definitely other people, but they were the main two that gave me that different perspective, I would not be here in front of you today because I wasn't going to tell anybody.
Wow. And you know, you've been one of those people in my life, and now I get it, the full picture of it, that has held me accountable when I said, I need to get better about asking for help. I need to get better about reaching out to people for help. And you've been on me like, did you ask anybody for help this week? Are you doing the thing you said you were going to do? And I see why, because you had to have that shift of not being prideful and seeing that people want to help. People want to show up to help you. And you were one of those people that really helped me to see that I'm sitting around being prideful, blocking other people's blessings who want to bless me, who want to help me and support me. And so I'm so grateful to you for that, for always giving me that nudge to say, hey, you're doing a lot. Are you asking anybody to help you with the things?
We're
Because for
here to sharpen
me,
iron.
right. For me, it's probably some pride, but for me more, I get into this focus rhythm of just plowing through and trying to get all the things done and not really thinking that you don't have to do all the things by yourself. There are people who want to support you and cheer you on and love on you and help,
Yes.
especially when you're going through a tough time. And
Yes.
so I'm still working through being vulnerable with the tough times
Yeah.
and asking for help then. And I'm probably insulated. It's good and bad that I have this family unit that's super strong and we go to each other for lots of things. But there are people outside of my family circle that want to be involved and want to support. So thank you for sharing that. And thank you for being that person for me who shakes me every now and then and says, ask somebody for help,
What's
Dad.
going on? Yeah. But you know what I learned also, Tiffany, when I came into a relationship? Oh my gosh. I love the Holy Spirit and the conviction and the revelations and the epiphanies that come about. And if you profess to be a disciple of me, I want to emulate, I want to supersede the one that I say I'm a disciple of. He showed me because how to go from independence to interdependence,
Hmm.
because the Holy Trinity is the extreme example. Like they are the epitome of what interdependence looks like. Because I actually found independence, which the pride thing, they're intermingled. Independence is really an illusion. Independence is not real.
That's true.
Even right now, I didn't create the Wi-Fi. I didn't create however this is being recorded. I didn't create this lip gloss. Is my lip gloss popping?
It's
Okay,
fly.
I did. I didn't create the clothing. Come on. There's no such thing. I didn't create the lighting. There's no such thing. And so with the Holy Trinity, it's God. God sent Jesus here, and then God sent the Holy Spirit while Jesus was here on earth. That's they were working together. That was interdependence. Even right now, we have the Holy Spirit residing with us, and Jesus is talking to the Holy Spirit. That's interdependence. Nothing is independent. So as those of us who profess to be believers, and we struggle with asking for assistance or doing things on my own, or they just not gonna do it right, so let me just go ahead and do it. Wait. Let's look at the Holy Trinity, because that's the example that we should be following, right? And he revealed that to me, and that's why I'm very intentional about those things. And I believe when we go through life experiences, we can more readily see it as we continuously be healed, and as we
Mhm.
continuously go place ourselves on the operating table, and as we continuously go before the throne to say, cleanse me, wash me of the residue, because we're human and we're continuously subjected to that all around us. The pride, the world telling you you don't need anybody, you can do it by yourself. And we have to continuously go through that washing. And I believe for me, because again, gangrene infection of it, I've been gifted with that. I just have that honor and have been entrusted to aid and assist other people who struggle with that. That's something that he has entrusted me with, because I unashamedly talk about how much I was infected with it and continuously infected. I just got checked on Monday, the other day, 2 days ago.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. I love that example of the Trinity. And Jesus, as he walked on the earth, didn't do his ministry by himself.
Hello.
He was interdependent. He had disciples. He called them. He sent them out two by two. He had many of them. We talk about the 12, but there were so many more people who helped Jesus to perform his ministry. And so, being the example of who we should be on earth, he even showed us that. Like, you don't have to do everything by yourself. You can delegate, you can use other people's gifts and talents and abilities and skills to get a thing done. And so, I love that perspective on asking for help, and Jesus as the model, the
He
Godhead as the model, the Trinity as the model is really spectacular.
Because he
You
could have did
said
everything on his own, right?
you absolutely could have. Some of us can do it all on our own, but that's not the design.
There you
That's
go.
not the design. So that's
There
really
it
good.
is. That's not the design, Tiffany. That's it right there. That is the reason. Let's go Old Testament. It's not the design. What did Moses' father-in-law Jethro say? Moses, come here, let me holler at you.
You're
I
gonna kill your fool self.
listen, listen, Moses, this ain't it. This ain't popping right here. We need to rearrange some things. And that's he could have, but he modeled for us. I didn't create you like that.
Wow, I love it. You shared a little bit about how you understood now that this battle and conquering of cancer helped you to realize that your role here is servant to other people. So tell me some of the ways that you are taking this experience and using it for purpose and using it to help other people. I
Yes.
know it's a lot.
That's I'm like, "Oh, wow. How do you want me to narrow this? How long is this episode?" Okay.
We got time.
I didn't realize it's something I've really been doing all my life, right? The gift of gab. I've always been a talker. Maybe sometimes it got me in trouble. But utilizing my voice for the various things that I have encountered and experienced, one of those ways is the release of my first book, Conquer the Fight of Life, which is based on my journey through breast cancer, but the way that it was written has lessons and epiphanies that can cross pollinate to any hardship we experience in life. Another way is I do have a talk show, the Tamika L. Herbert Show, where the first season of that is based on breast cancer, hearing the stories of different people who have experienced breast cancer, as well as I have a person because unfortunately I am also a survivor, we would use that, of domestic violence, and October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and it's also Domestic Violence Awareness Month. But I don't even say awareness anymore. It's Breast Cancer Action Month. We have to move from awareness to action. But let me
Love it.
digress.
Love it. I'm
That
here
is
for it.
that is one of the ways that I also have gone about it, and as well as one-on-one conversations, being a youth leader, like pouring into our youth, that is a way that I go about doing that. There's just so many ways because the other thing, Tiffany, that man, that this breast cancer journey has taught me and the ways that I go about helping other people, I'm so big on emotional intelligence. Tiffany, Tiffany. Emotional intelligence is like foundational of how we live out our life. And it's so subpar. I know. I am so big on helping people get in touch with their emotions as opposed to those things that we've locked down in the basement and we stacked all the chairs and tables on top of it. And it has we're just not even going to deal with it and talk about it. That's another means me like really talking about emotional intelligence and talking about relationships, the unmet expectations we've had from relationships. As you said, our pastor, our coach, our mentor, he says the greatest joy and the greatest pain comes from the same place, people, right?
Yes.
And going through that journey of breast cancer just really opened my eyes to how I interact with people. I'm very intentional. I don't meet strangers. I literally will talk to anybody, but I'm intentional about seeing them, hearing their stories. Where are they at? And part of that is the reason why the Tamika L. Herbert Show was created to bring back human interconnection because we're not independent. And the
That's right.
Tamika L. Herbert Show, as that will be developed out, is about hearing the stories of everyday people. I'm not about having everybody on there who has my same faith and belief because everybody out there won't be able to identify with me, but they can identify with Roberto over there who may be going through this. And hence, that's part of the reason the show was created after I ran, just like I ran from my book.
It happens. Sometimes when we get called to whatever God has for us in a season, especially if it doesn't look like anything we've done before, we can run at first, but eventually it catches up. We can't get away from it.
Running, still run sometimes, but it's because the life I live is not about me, but serving God's creation of people. I always come right back to that. It ain't about you, boo. Get over
It
yourself,
ain't,
Tamika. That's how God talks to me. It ain't about you. Get over yourself. So,
that's
you
so
right.
good. I want you to give, I'm going to ask you to play teacher and coach and mentor right now. I want you first to give me 3 practical things that men and women should do to take care of their health or to make sure that they're identifying when they should go to the doctor, when they should get things checked out. What are 3 things that you think people should do?
The first thing I would have to say, and I talk about it, is break the silence. That's very practical. We're not going to not talk about our medical conditions, the things we've experienced, because I know culturally that's something that has definitely transpired, right? It happened in the South. I'm here in the Pacific Northwest and I hear the same stories. We're going to talk about it. Break the silence. Break the silence. If we really care about our loved ones, and that's going to be breaking the pride and whatever else it is that we are entangled in, breaking the silence. That's very practical. Practical, let's literally go and have documentation from our maternal side as well as our paternal side of what our ailments are. Well, Tamika, some of us are adopted. Some of us don't know what I totally comprehend and understand. I don't know my father's side of the family, right? So I totally comprehend. But what you can do right now is start by listing your own medical conditions and ensuring we pass those things down. Breaking the silence, listing our medical conditions. And one of the other things I would say for people that's going through any hardship or or a cancer diagnosis or anything like that, I'm big about this. Let's relinquish the cape of strength.
Yeah.
You don't have to be strong. I've said this, my my immune system, my toenails, my internal system, everything is weak. So why do we need to be strong in the midst of hardship? That verbiage, so being mindful of that verbiage and not necessarily speaking that I'm not saying this is everybody's story, but for me, because I was always already steeped in pride and independence, not telling someone who's going through a hardship, even if it's not cancer, to be strong, that dehumanizes them because it puts this facade of just saying, I'm not human, I'm God. But his word says his strength is made perfect in our weakness.
Mm,
So, not talking about it, we're going to abolish that. Talk about whatever medical ailments you have. Let's make a list of our medical history. And if you're going through any type of hardship, you do not have to be strong. That's why other people were created, because we don't have to go through those challenging times on our own. It's okay, because being it's part of our emotional intelligence to say, I need help. It's part of developing that emotional intelligence, say, how am I feeling right now? Right. And I can look back through my own journey. And there were times I was overwhelmed. But no, I got it together. I got this. I don't need anybody. Let go of that false narrative that we have to be strong. Strength is really found when we are weak and we allow others in. Those were those are key things I would share with people.
that's excellent. That reminded me also, in not wearing this cape of strength, what can people do when they decide, okay, I don't have to wear this cape of strength. I do want help from people. I do want support. To those who are surrounding someone who's going through breast cancer or any challenge, but specifically breast cancer, what can people do who want to support the person who is going through the fight of breast cancer? What's the best way, or what are some of the best ways to support someone who's going through?
Right. These are a few things that I mentioned in my book, Conquer the Fight of Life, because we need something practical, right? And then sometimes we need something that's intangible. So practical. If you are steeped in strength and I got to do it, one practical thing is somebody have a meal train, get a meal train going. I've definitely experienced that recently. Another thing is to set up services to have, because the house still needs cleaning. Do they have kids? Arrange helping them with the kids, the transportation, just like you arrange a meal train, arrange a transportation train to help them to get to and fro their doctor's appointments or helping them with their kids, right? I'm very adamant as well about the person is going through it, but let's talk to the spouse that's sitting there on the sideline and they feel absolutely helpless.
That's so
Or
good.
any relatives or friends, your presence, even though it may not seem like it now, but presence is so pertinent and key. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to do anything all the time because we're used to just doing, right? It's challenging to just be present and to sit. But I look back at the times when people were just present and they were present, practical tools. And not necessarily asking the person going through, "What do you need?" We have absolutely no idea. This is something that we've never experienced, that we've never encountered, and that may be true for someone diagnosed with cancer or who's experiencing death of a niece or a cut. Like we may have experienced death before, but it's different, or a job loss, or I'm grieving a best friend that I knew for 17 years, and now I didn't hear from them. There are things that we don't know we need, and I would say definitely not necessarily adding that weight onto them. "What do you need? What do you want me to do?" We don't know, and that's an added layer of mental and emotional stress, to be honest, to go through. So those are some things I would say to do and maybe not to do as well.
That's excellent. That's very helpful because people do feel helpless. They want to help, they want to be supportive, but they also don't want to misstep. I think sometimes that makes people withdraw from people that they should be supporting because they don't want to do the wrong thing. But then they end up doing the wrong thing in their absence and not showing up. So just having very practical things like that is really helpful. We're getting ready to wrap, and I have kind of a unique question for you, but I know you like this kind of thing, so we're just
May
gonna
I
go
share
here.
one thing with you first,
Yeah,
though, when it
yeah.
comes to people and relationships? Something that I learned and I do want to share is you place expectations on people because that's what you would have done.
Oh,
And I had to realize that skill set of selflessness. Let me get outside of myself and into them because maybe they are not, their mental and emotional fortitude is not to the degree where they can literally handle and manage that. I have I have to accept that, right? And not place expectations on other people because that's what I would have done or because I was there for them when they went through this. We're all different. So I believe that is so key and pertinent, not just for a cancer diagnosis, but that's a key component for any facets of life. Not placing expectations upon others because they hold a role, father, mother, sister, brother, or not doing it because we did something for them, because that's a tick for tack, and that's definitely not godly. So I really wanna ensure I put that out there because that was I experienced a lot of that, and that's something that I talk about in depth when I people who I thought would be there, I didn't get a text, I didn't get a phone call. Let's talk about being bitter and resentful and being, like, let's talk about just unforgiving. I had to go through that forgiveness. So that is something that's very critical, I believe, for all of us to be mindful of not placing expectations on people.
That's good because that goes back to that emotional intelligence and relational intelligence, being mindful that everybody is not in your life in the same way for the same reason, and everybody's not you. And so we do have to give grace and be selfless in our assessment of others and recognize that even though you're the person going through the really tough thing, you're not the only one going through it. You're going through the main brunt of the thing. But other people who are in your life who care about you or who have experienced this with other people, it may be traumatic or triggering. We do just have to be more selfless in these spaces. And
Yes.
I would even venture to say, at the same time that you're being selfless, being introspective. What am I supposed to be doing in this season? What am I supposed to be learning from this? Even though I'm not fully well and I have to concentrate on getting healthy, what are some things that I can still do for other people? Or what are some ways I can still show love even in this moment? And I know you can resonate with this. What are the places where I can still be grateful and express gratitude even in this tough time and in this challenge?
Right.
So that is such a good reminder to
Yeah.
make sure that we cut people some slack and not build up resentment and unforgiveness because those things aren't healthy either. Those things, there are literal medical ties between unforgiveness and certain sicknesses, including cancer, in our lives and in our bodies. So we don't want to hold that stuff either.
No, because
That's really good.
it's hurting us, and they're still going on vacations and living their lives and doing
Mhm.
all the things, and we're harboring all of these things internally, and it is eating away, and then it's affecting every facet of our life. Even if we are ignorant to that fact, let me tell you something, it is affecting every facet of our life and how we're navigating, seeing people, interacting with people, even how we speak to and treat ourselves. I know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, here's my question. What would you tell 36-year-old Tamika who has, knowing what you know now, years away from this? I'm not going to say how many years away from it, but years away from 36-year-old Tamika, knowing what you know now and know what you've experienced in your life since then. What would you tell her to encourage her or teach her, or what information would you give her at all as she's discovering this diagnosis and getting ready to walk through it?
You know, Tiffany, that's a great question. And I could give you a very specific thing,
Okay.
but I wouldn't tell her anything.
Okay.
I want her to go through every single last excruciating, painful, joyous, light, effervescent epiphany. Just, I wouldn't tell her anything. I wouldn't, I mean, relationally, I could, right? To don't place expectations on people because that's what you would do. I could tell her that, but then she wouldn't be, I have no shame, the 48-year-old Tamika that stands before you today. She wouldn't be this person she is. So I wouldn't want her to know anything. I want her to experience every every painful thing because that is what has metamorphosed her to be who she is today and to really see people and to have a true heart for people because the life I live is not about me but serving God's creation of people. I
You s
wouldn't.
you said the word metamorphosis, and the visual I got as you were talking was a butterfly in a cocoon, and I heard a story about that because you know I'm a nerd. And I heard a story about the scientific processes of that worm growing into a butterfly in the cocoon and how the butterfly has to stretch against the inside of the cocoon to build up its wing strength so that when it breaks out, it will have enough strength to fly. And if you cut that cocoon open too soon and you don't allow that butterfly to go through that struggle against the cocoon, it won't survive. It'll die. So that is just such a vivid picture of that. And here's something else I thought about too as you were talking, because you know I'm also a Bible nerd.
I
And I
love
was
it.
thinking about how in the Bible, the people in the Bible went through things so that God could give us a picture of what we're supposed to do. And as you were talking about your experience, so much of your experience with breast cancer was like a picture of how to live life. And I think that's so powerful. One day I'm gonna really sit with that a little bit more concerning you. But there are so many parallels with your experience and how those are lessons for how we just live. And
Yeah,
I just think that's so special and so powerful. And I'm
yeah,
so glad that you're the kind of person that tries to view it that way, to
yes.
see what am I supposed to be because of this, and
Uh-huh.
what was I supposed to learn, and not being resentful about the fact that you went through it, but actually being grateful. I understand now after you
Mhm,
spoke about
mhm,
why you say you're thankful, you were grateful that you had
mhm.
breast cancer. It makes sense in that context now for me. It made sense before, but it really, really makes sense
It's on another level, right?
Right, right. I'm up here with it now.
Oh my gosh. And Tiffany, let me share something I was reading this morning. I was reading in Isaiah 25. And this is something that I said before. So let me share this takeaway. In Isaiah 25, he's talking about how these nations, like they're going to be demolished, right? And there's just going to be ruins and there's going to be rubble. Breast cancer aided to destroy the immaculate tower of Tamika Herbert.
Mm,
Breast
mm,
cancer, it came in like a wrecking ball to bring about ruin, destruction, and rubble of Tamika. It demolished that immaculate tower that was built up, immaculate tower. But
mhm.
in the midst of the rubble, we're gonna go back to Nehemiah. They rebuilt the walls
Yeah.
from the rubble. In my life, when that immaculate tower of Tamika Herbert was demolished, in that rubble, there was ways to reconstruct it and to rebuild. In that rubble, I was able to find and to talk about the childhood molestation. In that rubble, I found and I uncovered the extramarital affairs with married men. I uncovered the promiscuous lifestyle. I uncovered intentional incest. I uncovered how I treated people and the words that I spoke. Even though it was like, I'm good, I'm nice. I uncovered so many other things. I uncovered the child who never dealt with the death of her mama at 13 years old. I uncovered the child who didn't have that male figure in her life to show her her value and her worth. As that immaculate tower was destroyed and the rubble was there and you're moving, I discovered all these things. And then, just like in Nehemiah, that rubble was built and utilized to build something that really was beneficial for the people around. Because what Nehemiah did, it wasn't about him, but it was because I have a heart for these people. These are my people. So I'm rebuilding this wall so that they can be covered, so they can feel safe. And that's what I'm doing. I have the Holy Spirit, I have allowed him to utilize me as a vessel to rebuild all of that rubble. That's not about me, but it's about serving and protecting and helping others to demolish the immaculate towers that they've built up. And that's how I am now Tamika L. Herbert, because that immaculate tower was demolished.
I love it. I don't think we need to say anything else after that. I think we need to leave it right there. I love you, my sister. I am so
Oh,
grateful that you came and spent this time with me, that you broke away from your busy schedule of doing all the wonderful things that you do. I want you to share, though, before we leave, where people can find you, where people can connect with you, get your book. Just let me know all the things. I'll put it in the show notes also, but I want people to hear from you where they can find you and connect with you.
of course. Thank you so much for this. I'm on the socials. And Facebook is Tamika L. Herbert. Instagram is Tamika.L.Herbert. YouTube is the Tamika L. Herbert Show, or you can look up Tamika Herbert and you can get my book, TamikaLHerbert.com. There's an ebook, there's the hard copy book. Of course, you can also find it on Amazon, and there might be a audio book in the working
Nice.
with my
I'm here.
voice.
I am
Imagine
here
that.
for that. So good. And you're a speaker, and you speak not only about conquering breast cancer, but all different kinds of subjects, especially related to emotional intelligence and how that can be so beneficial to people's lives. So at your website at TamikaLHerbert.com, people can find out how to book you as a speaker also, right?
Yes, most definitely. You can find my book there, but then there's also book a consultation because it's like I said, my journey is definitely outside of breast cancer and it's not any particular group because males and females deal with pride. I can talk to the children. I worked with youth for over 17 years in juvenile corrections and residential treatment. And I can speak to that child because I was that child. I can speak to that woman. I can speak to that male because the things that I've encountered and experienced, we all do. And all of us, honestly, emotional intelligence is something that we continue to raise and that needs to be raised so we can be good for those that are assigned to us and those that are in our life. I'm letting love be my distinguishing characteristic.
I'm here for it. Thank you so much. I love you so much.
Thank
I'm gonna
you.
invite you back because we could talk about all kinds of things, and I think the earth needs to see more of Tamika L. Herbert, so I definitely would love to have you back if you're so willing,
My
and,
honor.
I just thank you. I'm so glad that you were here. It's just an honor to spend time with you.
It's my honor to serve you and your audience. I agape you.
I agape you, my sister. Thank you.